If you like romantic period pieces, you might want to check out Netflix's Ehrengard, The Art of Seduction. This Danish movie is available now, so is it going to teach us new tricks on how to entice someone? In the fairy tale kingdom of Babenhausen, a young self-appointed expert on love named Cazotte is hired by the scheming Grand Duchess to help her secure an heir. While searching for a suitable future princess, Cazotte teaches the timid and introverted crown prince the art of seduction and lovemaking. But their plan soon backfires when an heir is conceived out of wedlock and the royal family has to seek refuge or risk losing the kingdom to greedy relatives. So you can approach this movie in a couple of ways. One is sort of a romantic drama, similar to Cyrano de Bergerac, in the fact that there is deception at play when a man wants to woo a woman. Another way to view this is a man smitten with somebody that he doesn't know and then vows to win her heart by some deception. The one more way is to watch a man get snubbed by a woman and then spend the next hour and a half plus concocting schemes and lies to get closer to her in the hopes that she'll fall in love with him. Yeah, none of these sound that appealing, right? And that's what's crazy about this movie. There are some cute moments, but really, when we watch the main character, Cazotte, scheme and connive, even wager so that he can attempt to make a young woman named Ehrengard fall in love with him, now to do so, he will use a subtle seduction, a skill that he's honed and is somewhat known for. The acting in this is decent, and aside from Cazotte being slimy, a lot of the characters are easy to watch. I mean, even the villainous relatives of the crown prince, they do a wonderful job of portraying vile and greedy relatives. Now, I don't want to come off sounding like I didn't like the film, because as I was watching it, I was entertained and amused. With probably, the most likable character being Ehrengard, even though we don't know a ton about her. We know of her family and her strict upbringing, but then outside of that, she's kind of a stranger, albeit a charismatic one. Now, the issue for me is that the longer I sat with what I watched, I just got an icky feeling over Cazotte's actions and then the story glorifying it. This is based on a novel by Karen Blixen, and I haven't read it, so I don't know how far, if any, this movie strays from the source. But it became bothersome to me the more I pondered the story and the message. There is a line at the very end of the movie that does put everything that we've seen into context. I'm not sure it actually redeems the character or even provides an excuse. Now, on a more positive note, the sets and the costumes are wonderfully crafted, transporting us to this make-believe kingdom filled with pomp and circumstance. It feels a bit right out of Bridgerton, except maybe less horny. There's some mild attempts at comedy or lightheartedness, but these don't typically land. Some of the cuteness does work when it doesn't involve Cazotte, but he's in the majority of this, so those moments, they're fleeting. Now, something I found amusing is that the Grand Duchess and Cazotte have starred in something else together. They were in the series Borgen Power and Glory, which is a spin-off of Borgen. Now, it was a bit strange to see them together in this context at first, but they do work well together. Now, the movie's only 94 minutes long, but there were a few sequences that I began to feel the time. There are some repetitive actions that help to showcase an obsession, but it's overdone and it begins to become monotonous, even though these scenes aren't overly lengthy. Now, from a story standpoint, this hits pretty much every beat that you'd expect, and it doesn't work anything in that's new or even fresh. And I don't mind that the elements and the trajectory are obvious, because they sort of provided just a roadmap of how long was left in the movie. Now, if you like fairy tale endings, this doesn't really have one. At least the happily ever after sort of fairy tale ending. Depending on how you feel about the characters and the entire setup of the pursuit of Cazotte after Ehrengard, that's going to help you to determine how much you will enjoy or dislike the resolution. Now, I think it's a fitting end, and it really does make sense for the ultimate story that they're telling, but it's also not totally the story or ending that we're promised. So overall, Ehrengard, The Art of Seduction looks to be a fantasy romantic period drama, but unfortunately contains many of the problematic misogynistic attitudes and behaviors that no longer have a place in society, unless they're being used as commentary or cautionary tale. Here, the objectionable actions are glorified and held as something to be pursued, reinforcing toxic mentalities while also objectifying and degrading women to just trophies of pleasure. The sets and costuming are excellent, and the story does create emotional tension between characters. It's just that the leading man gives off rapey vibes. That's just simply not okay. There's sex and nudity with a tiny bit of profanity and violence. I give Ehrengard, The Art of Seduction, 1.5 out of 5 couches. Now, maybe I'm in the minority and I'm viewing this just through too sensitive of a lens, but I can't shake the gross feeling that it left me with. What are you watching right now? Anything fun or maybe entertaining? Let me know about it in the comments below. If you enjoyed this review, please give it a like. Also, don't forget to share and subscribe. I'm Chris. This is Movies and Munchies. Thanks for couching with me.